Okay. They said we just get started. I need a note, opening statement.
No, Coach, you don't have to do an opening statement.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys.
You told me.
Coach,
I'm waiting.
Have you seen this defense evolve over the season in general, from week one to some speed bumps, but now really rolling at the right time?
Well, I think what it goes back to spring practice. Obviously, we had some guys out in spring practice, key players. Fall camp also. So repetition in terms of that in the early part of the season, and just the matriculation of reps on the grass, playing together. I think the development of the front, the defensive line, through that growth process has been a huge jump. Playing really physical, really strong, good technique up front. Obviously, with Braz and Dallas on the edge, we can get pressure off the edge. I think that's the biggest thing up front. In the back end, just getting them to play together. There were a lot of moving parts, and obviously we had Caleb Downs, a freshman, come in, who is not playing like a freshman. And so that, then the other part of it was the, Deontay was the really the only linebacker with reps for us. So we had to get a lot of reps to two, Tresman Marshall and Jihad Campbell, who had not played linebacker at Alabama. And getting that in sync in actual game speed is probably where it came.
Kevin, with a month or so to look at this Michigan offense, what really sticks out to you so far?
Well, they're very big. They're very well coached. They play physical at the line of scrimmage with good technique, and they're very capable of running the ball. And then they have a quarterback who is obviously very talented and understands their offense and executes at a high level, game in and game out. Very consistent across the board.
When you look at Blake Corum as a running back, what stands out about him on tape?
Very physical runner. He's got really good balance and body control, kind of a patient guy that has a good, one jump, skip, patience, find the hole, good vision. And then when he runs through the hole, you're not going to arm tackle him. I mean, he's a very, very strong lower body guy. So you got to wrap it up, and you got to get more hats to the ball than he can run through.
Kevin, you've been with Nick at several stages of his career and time at Alabama. How have you seen him change in terms of coaching style, and have you noticed any differences this year?
That's a good question. I have been with him 3 times. I've known him since 1985, so we go way back. Really, to be honest with you, in terms of any difference in him, I can't tell any difference at all. But obviously, the defense has evolved from 07 to now, the hurry-up offense, the spread, all those kind of things. And he's the best that's ever done it at taking and adjusting defenses. He's very, very good at it. So I don't think it's so much that he's changed. Obviously, there are probably some little nuances in terms of the way he manages the team, but he's always managed every team different. He always says, coaches always say, coach speak, every team's different. He's really good at adjusting to that, always has been. I personally think he's the best it's ever been at game planning and taking away what people do best.
Kool-Aid McKinstry's obviously had a fantastic season. You've coached a lot of defense in your time. Where would you rank him in quarterbacks that you've ever coached?
Well, they're all different, like running backs. I mean, I was on a team that had Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas on the same team in college. 2 Hall of Famers, totally different backs. So to compare guys, it's really hard. They're different style players, and their strengths and weaknesses are different. Highly competitive, highly intelligent, and just understands the game to where he's a step ahead. And that's probably the biggest thing with Kool-Aid.
It's got to be nice to have a guy on the other side in 3, Terry Arnold, who's kind of complimented and done different things, but really locked down both sides of the quarterback.
Well, it's hard. People don't realize how hard it is, but you guys have seen it. You covered a lot of ball. When you have a guy like Kool-Aid on one side, where does everybody want to go? The other side. And when that pressure's on you, And that's, corner's hard enough. You're on an island, literally. And so when you're opposite somebody who is established, it puts a lot of pressure on you. And he's handled it remarkably well, very, very smart, very competitive. And he's kind of got ice water in his veins. We always talk about play the next play. He probably does as good a job of being able to play the next play as anybody.
You mentioned Marshall and Campbell as two guys who needed reps because they hadn't played a lot. Kind of the same deal with Tim Keenan up front. What has he brought to the defense?
Well, first of all, he's a grown man. He is a strong, strong guy, but he's very, very mature. He's a pro. He comes to work every day. He's consistent in what he does. He does not have ups and downs. That's a hard job when you got 300 pounds on your right ear and 300 pounds on your left ear coming at you. And, of course, he's a very powerful man, very strong, uses his hands very well. But, again, I go back to those guys. You have to be a smart football player. And our whole defensive line, we've got some really, really smart guys. But Tim is kind of a guy that he kind of knows what's coming before it happens.
Malachi said he had to remind himself sometimes that Caleb Downs is still a freshman. When did he stop looking like a freshman to you?
We got in about the same day, and I didn't know he was a freshman.
With your defensive linemen, you got Dallas Turner and Braswell, but Justin Avoigbe kind of goes under the radar sometimes. How beneficial has it been to have a guy like that as kind of one of your third or fourth guys on that?
Yeah, Justin, number one, you'll see him here in a minute. He's a large man. He's very powerful. But it goes back. That was one of the guys, with his neck situation, not in spring practice, early fall camp, limited. And so we had to, he just come out of it. He's healthy. He feels good. And he's just improved every week. He is a very serious person, very serious about what he does. And so he is a force.
I know the job's not finished right now, but how proud of you are they of this defense? I mean, think about the teams we faced: Texas, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and this defense has responded well in several of those matchups.
Well, I think this group of guys, they're very competitive. They're extremely competitive. They are extremely coachable. This group is extremely coachable, and they work very, very hard at understanding what we're doing, but understanding what the opponent is doing too. We've just got, I go back to this, I've said it several times, very impressed with the competitive spirit of the guys, but also their football intelligence. These guys, they're easy to coach.
Kevin, it seems like Jim Harbaugh always preps a trick play or two for big games. How do you go about kind of trying to predict and prepare for something like that?
For big games?
A trick play for big games, for any game as well.
Yeah, all games. Not correcting you, but you don't put on the film. That's part of their offense. And so it's all about eye control. You got to know your job, you got to do your job, and you got to be very, very disciplined with your eyes, because they're going to have what we tag as gimmick plays. But in some offenses, gimmick plays, they pop up in certain occasions. They pop up when you least expect it. It's part of his offense. It appears it's in every game plan. So you rep them like you do anything else, but it still comes back to eye control. If you're looking at the right things, you won't run into something.
Coach, what did your run defense learn from the Auburn game?
Well, the Auburn game, obviously, we've been very good at run defense all year. That was a little bit uniquely different in that, they did some things different than was on tape, and we got it adjusted second half. I think the biggest thing was just, the run fits. You got to be disciplined in it. You can be too tight, you can be too wide, and it's a difference in 3 yards and 30 yards. And so just the discipline of it.
I asked Coach Saban early on in the year about your offensive side of the ball and Tommy Reese. 31 years old as an offensive coordinator at Alabama is pretty impressive. What's the relationship been with you guys, and what have you seen out of him? We were really impressed with the stuff he's
Well,
seen.
both of my children are older than him. It's Tommy is. I've known his dad for a long time. Back when he was an assistant at UCLA, I've known Tommy for a long time. Number one is Tommy is a very, very smart guy. he understands football at a high level for being young. But as smart as he is, it's not surprising. The best thing about it is you think about Tommy is that Tommy is a tough guy. You know, when you're a quarterback, play caller, college quarterback, you know, you may have this perception of just, okay, he wants to throw the ball all over the lot. He's a tough guy. He understands the physicality of football. And in the SEC, that's important. So very impressed with him. He's got a bright future,
There's been moments this year where your boss has been smiling a bit more, laughing a bit more. Apparently after the SEC championship, he was dancing in the locker room. I don't know if you saw that at all, but have you seen any new sides of him come out this season?
Well, like I said before, I've not noticed anything different. I've known him for a long time. He smiles at the right times. He always has. So, no, I really hadn't noticed anything different. Now, the dance was different.
Okay.
The dance was different.
Can you show us what his moves were?
Not this guy.
Kevin, did he have to sell you on coming back? What was that conversation?
Well, it was interesting. You know, we've known each other a long time. I personally think, number one, and I've been in football a long time. My dad was a coach too. He's the best that's ever done it. And the way that he has the program at Alabama and the university, the way they're committed to it, and I grew up in the state, it's kind of hard to say no to the University of Alabama football. It's really hard or next to impossible to say no to Coach Saban. And so it was a pretty one-sided conversation.
What did you say to him?
Yes.
Coach, how much has recruiting changed? You know, you mentioned you've been around a long time, known Coach Saban since 1985. There was a time when half of Alabama's roster was Alabama guys, and now it's a national brand. How much more pressure is it to recruit guys coast to coast?
Well, recruiting has changed to where I'm not sure it's recruiting anymore. It's evaluation. Obviously, we have NIL, transfer portal in it now. The NIL, that's changed recruiting. It used to be a relationship. Stay close to home, go to your favorite school, go to your favorite coach, go to the coach that you had a relationship built with as a position coach or a recruiter. And there's so many other factors that go into it now, all the way from, you know, playing time to finance. And so it's a lot of moving parts. It's completely and totally different. Completely and totally different.
A lot of players seem to enjoy being around Coach Travaris Robinson. How much growth have you seen out of him as a coach this year?
Well, Coach Robinson is, again, very, very smart. Very smart. He is a great teacher. He's a great recruiter. He has a very good relationship with people. He's got really good people skills. He's a great communicator. He has a bright future. You know, I personally think, this is my personal opinion, I think in the very near future, he will be somebody's head coach and be very successful doing it.
Kevin, I was hoping you can explain this. You said that it's way different now, recruiting, but at the same time, you said this is one of the most coachable teams that you've had. So, you know, how do you find, or how do you get to that place, I guess, when the relationships are maybe different in the beginning, but you still have to form this cohesive team?
Well, I think it's basically, you got to get the right guys in the room. They got to be made of the right stuff, you know, and Coach does a great job in the evaluation process of getting players that fit what he wants to do. And so I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's one of the keys to his success through the years is the evaluation process, not just athleticism, but the other things, the intangibles, competitive spirit, football IQ, drive to be great, those kind of things.
With the transfer portal, have you had to change your recruiting approach at all in terms of guys who might be comfortable waiting a year or two and not immediately jumping in the portal if they don't play that first year?
Well, that question is kind of like the ocean bottom, the ocean floor, continuously moving. It's always different. And you know, having a player who used to wait behind an All-American first-round draft pick for a year or two and know that he was the heir apparent, in a lot of cases, those days are over now. And you just deal with it as it happens because you really don't have any control over it.
5 minutes remaining, and then we will switch the players and coaches.
All right, so I gotta ask. Lane Kiffin earlier this year said he intimated that they had taken play calling away from you. What did you think of that? And
Nothing. Nothing. I know Lane.
Okay. Why do you think he said it then?
I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Did they take the play calling away? Did any of that change?
No.
Coach, you talked just briefly about Caleb Downs earlier. You said he got in the same day as you, but Coach Saban talks about a lot of maturity that he has as a player and the next play mentality. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about his playing style? I know he has 99 tackles coming into this game. Caleb Downs.
Yeah. Caleb's just a football player. And I know that's kind of a broad statement. He's very smart, very competitive, very mature, and just has an athletic skill set that really allows him to be a great player. You know, some of it's a gift, but it's also the way he's made up. I'll help you on one of your questions, though. Who do you think the defensive coordinator at Alabama is? Who? Who? Name but one. And he's won 7 national championships. As long as you know that, we're good.
There's nothing else, guys. We'll move Kevin, Coach, on into the next room. Has he evolved at all in terms of how hands-on he is with the defense?
No. Still the same as when I used to go visit him at Michigan State when he was the head coach there. Brilliant defensive mind. Brilliant. One step ahead all the time. He has the ability to see things and take away what you do best instantly, and adjust it instantly.
Coach Deontay was saying you know how to get him going from a motivational standpoint. How do you know when to pick and choose?
Who's that?
Deontay Lawson was just saying you know how to motivate him. When do you know when to pick and choose when you've got a light of fire under there?
Well, they're all different. They're all different. The way you communicate with them is all different. They all have different personalities. Deontay is one that you can be very direct and calm with him. You can talk to him with your eyes. You really can. And then every now and then, you might need a little stronger encouragement. And he's got the kind of personality that takes coaching very well. But this whole group does.
Do you need your middle linebacker to kind of be a calming presence as the quarterback of the defense?
No question. There's a lot of moving parts out there, and there's a lot of communications, a lot of checks. And you got to be able to react under fire.
Kevin, have you had to evolve the way you communicate with players over the years, or are there still guys out there who can take the kind of coaching that people did in the 80s and 90s?
Well, I don't think you could coach like you did in the 80s and 90s. If you did like you did in the early 80s, they'd arrest us. So, yeah, we've had to evolve.
Okay, guys, we're going to move Kevin on to the other room. You got his mic.